If you're weird like me, chances are you too have wondered what would you choose if you had to pick between blindness and deafness. Deafness seems to be the choice for most for obvious reasons, yet blindness comes with a perk that deafness does not include. Blind people's brain actually rewire, gaining them access to heightened perception in almost all dimensions of human sensation, like hearing, smelling, sense of touch, etc. If you combine this and a military background, plus add a layer of traumas, you get a psychopathic blind man with superhuman abilities, just like the man we encounter in. In this video, we follow the characters, highlight their weaknesses, and decide on better tactics to survive, and ultimately, outsmart the blind guy. We follow three thieves on their journey to score big. Our first thief is Alex, whose father owns a security company. Pretty handy, huh? The security company is specialized in home alarm systems, which our protagonists exploit to gain access to the houses they target. Pretty neat in my opinion, and so far so good. Yet it kind of gives me a hard time to believe that this kid would do such things like breaking in other people's homes. He does seem to care about his dad, and the movie can't really make up a good enough reason to justify something like this for me. But perhaps, he's just in it for the thrill. Now our second thief is Roxanne, a female basically reliving Eminem's poor past who has dreams of taking a little sister away from the disturbing environment. And who could blame her really? She promises her to take her to California and thus needs as much money as she can get. Her character is pretty badass and rather genuine, which makes it easy for us as the viewer to like her. Much other than our third and last protagonist that goes by the name of Money. He seems to be the I don't give a fuck guy of the group, the guy who's just in it for the quick cash. He's reckless and lacks some intelligence, but he's a G, so that's gotta be worth something, right? Anyway, they get tipped off about an old army vet living in an abandoned neighborhood possessing 300k in cash. They plot the next robbery, naturally assuming the cash sits on a shelf, waiting to be snapped away. Can't go wrong at all. By scouting the house, they find out that the man is blind, but owns a huge Rottweiler, which kind of evens it out, I guess. The nighttime arrives and our thieves make their way to the house at 2 AM. After they take out the dog with a duped snack, which I must agree was pretty clever, they have a quick chat in front of the house, which I can't fully comprehend. They are very loud, implying they are underestimating the blind man. Finally, they make their way into the house though, by breaking a window. Yes, a window. I assure you, breaking a window at 2 AM is not a good idea. I mean, have you ever opened a bag of chips at night? This shit is so loud it has its own gravitational field. He is blind, not deaf. Considering the house owner is an army vet, he dead sure owns a gun or two, adding a whole new danger level. And how are they supposed to get the money anyway? It is almost completely dark, they must be quiet, and they have no clue where it is. This whole execution is more than questionable. Putting the dog to sleep was genius, but everything else so far wasn't. If you want to rob a house with the targeted object in mind, especially that valuable, it may be worth investing more time investigating. For instance, robbing the house while the owner is gone would be the easiest and safest way in order to capture the money. If that isn't an option, you may as well consider putting the target to sleep. One of our protagonists actually just tries that, but fails completely. Why would you enter the room and prepare the gas in it? That's just weird. I would have done it while being outside of the room and then silently position it just next to the entrance to give myself additional space and safety. For extra success, I would have prepared more than just one bottle, because you never know what's gonna happen and you really just have one shot here. Then I would have closed the door and blocked it, for two reasons. Firstly, to lock in the subject of course, and secondly, to make sure to know exactly when the sleeping gas has failed and the subject tries to break out. Then I would have guarded the room by staying on the other side of the corridor, fixating the locked room, so if anything should happen, I will know first and can let my other team members know in time. This lets us be much more safe and therefore much more thorough when searching the house. If the sleeping gas fails just like in the movie, then well, we end up in a situation like this.
Who's there?
What do you do in a situation like that? Would you run and screw the money? Would you shoot and commit murder to save your ass and perhaps get the money afterwards? Or would you pick another way? Perhaps shoot the subject in his leg to immobilize. But then again, you are only a small burglar. Doing this would cause you serious problems. But still, you have to decide on something, or else it will just end up like in the movie. Yep, that's what I meant. In the movie, Money fails and gets shot, leaving only Alex and Roxanne. However, did you look at her? She did have a chance to intervene It might would have been risky, but hey, the life of your friend is in danger. I mean, you're in it together, plus the advantage at this point was clearly 3 versus 1. Yet they made no attempts to leverage that at all, which caused a huge disadvantage that was further expanded by the blind man locking the door and the window. However, at this point I think it is important to mention that the blind man seemingly does not know that there are 2 more thieves in his house. While Roxanne is hiding in the closet, the blind man gets in too and checks the hidden safe, while she can witness the code. After he left, Alex joins her, and they indeed are able to secure a lot of money straight from the safe. They're quasi-rich, just rather unfortunate they're trapped in a house with an armed blind man who wouldn't hesitate to kill them. How would he get out of there? It is a pretty shitty situation. There are literally only 2 entrances, and they're either locked or blocked, and all other windows, we are told, have bars in front of them. So the only way out that comes to mind is the basement exit, which we've seen in the beginning of the movie. So Alex and Roxanne thus must decide on the basement exit. A weird thing here is, why wouldn't he call the police? If someone broke into my house and someone got killed,
911, what's your emergency?
I think somebody broke into my house.
I wouldn't hesitate to call the cops, unless I had something to hide, of course. And I'm not talking about my dirty pipes, fillies, and half-empty bags here, friends. I mean, it must be something quite serious if you cover up a murder, right? In the basement, they make acquaintance with the woman who killed the man's daughter. She's chained up savagely, but at least she has some nice cushions. While attempting to save the poor woman, it didn't cross their mind of freeing her of her mask. Considering she's been there for who knows how long, she probably holds valuable information. I mean, she did know that the safe on the shelf near her holds a bunch of keys which you probably would want in a completely locked down house. While figuring out why they didn't take her mask off, I quickly came to the conclusion that they must live in an alternative universe where Eminem has a vagina and COVID hit the world population 2 years before 2020. Anyway, she doesn't get to speak and gets shot while attempting to flee as the blind man awaits them at the basement entry. Which begs the question if the main entrance is now open. Shit, you definitely have different problems to solve right now. To recall, you broke into this blind man's house, stole his money, and let himself kill his pet woman. It doesn't take a genius to figure out the situation just turned really dark. Really, really dark. Welcome to my world, freak bitches. What would you do in a situation like this? To be honest, to escape those circumstances without a good portion of luck seems rather impossible. I mean, look at this guy making his way through his cramped basement better than me trying to maneuver through his shelves at Tesco, and he's blind too. He's like a raccoon with rabies with sole intention of killing. Alex and Rox somehow ditch this sick animal and make it upstairs just to find another one is waiting for them. Jesus. They escape upstairs again, but end up trapping themselves. They block the door with the closet, and while Rox climbs into an air shaft, Alex gets attacked by the dog and breaks through the window. My question here is, why didn't they use the window in the first place? They could be out of the house already, making their way into paradise. But regardless, it's safe to say that at this point it is do or die, so we officially fight the blind guy. If you remember at the beginning of this video, I highlighted the sensational benefits blindness adds to one's existence. Well, that power-up also goes in the opposite direction. While your perception is extremely sharp, it's also extremely sensitive and can be exploited quite easily. Step 1. Make loud noises like a 5-year-old drumming on a pan at 6 AM in the morning. Step 2. While making noise, throw objects in all directions to cause further confusion. Step 3. Smack the dude in the face with a heavy object. And Step 4. Celebrate the victory over an old blind man. Which path will you choose? The path of light or the path of darkness? But that's not what happened. While taking advantage of his weakness, which made me very proud, Alex got seemingly killed. I guess close combat against an ex-army vet is not a good idea, especially when he holds a gun. So the only option here is to either sneak up from behind, which is dangerous, or throw a heavy object from distance at his head. Meanwhile, Rox finds a way out through the air shaft, and does arrive at an opening. Shit. Both guys are dead, and you are strapped bottoms up just to get filled like a turkey. That's terrible. But don't worry, he will set you free after you have buried his child, whatever logic that follows. I mean, who would just go on living like nothing happened thereafter? That's just nonsense. But anyways, Alex rises from the death, smacks the dude over his head, and is able to free Roxanne. The only thing here is, they cuff the man in the most dumb way possible. But I get it. You don't want to get too near to this man, and if you have to, just make it as quick as possible. Still, this is survival, and after he has treated you like this, I believe you should show a little more vigor and determination, Alex. They make their way up to the front door, which gives me anxiety every time I watch it. I mean, come on, man, this door has 5 goddamn locks on it. The better idea would be to go upstairs into the room where Alex fell through the window and use the exact same opening to exit the house. The elevation is low enough to jump to the intermediate roof and then once more to the ground. This would have saved both. But well, in the movie Alex gets fatally shot, leaving only rocks. She manages to escape, which I loved, until having a massive Rottweiler dog chasing your ass is not fun. She somehow makes it to the car just to realize the keys are nowhere. At this scene, I was ready to leave my room. I mean, for the love of God, come on. I didn't like you from beginning, Money, but this was the tip of the iceberg. But anyway, she outsmarts the dog in a quite fascinating way, only to be snatched away from behind again. As she gets dragged back to the house, I didn't really have much hope left, and neither did Rox, I think. I mean, the last 45 minutes were quite rough for both of us. If she gave in, I would have totally understood. But then I remembered the turkey bastard, and perhaps she did too. So she reaches out for the nearby remote control and activates alarm system. The last glimpse of hope. The loud noise caused complete disorientation in the blind man, which she took clever advantage of. She manages to take him out in an epic last showdown just to escape in time before the cops arrive. At the very last, we do get an ending where she can indeed take her sister away and start over. Although perhaps you might want to reconsider your destination, Rox, and travel a bit further. I think that would be better. How about Switzerland? I heard it was quite nice there. Let's wrap this up here, guys. The best chances they had was taking advantage of the blind man's noise sensitivities. In every instance they had an actual chance to gain the upper hand was on occasions when the blind man lost his cool due to excessive noise. Another idea that came to my mind after having finished my script would have been to exploit his heightened sense of touch. If you've ever stepped on Legos, you know what I mean. However, this would have required the blind man to remain barefoot throughout the movie, which he didn't. And there you have it, guys. Being blind is a complicated impairment. While it is definitely better being able to see, blindness still holds certain assets that are hidden from the eyes of us non-blind people. What do you think about the movie and my take on it? How would you outsmart the blind guy if you had to? Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, consider leaving a like or subscribe. It would help a lot, and we load up new videos weekly. Thank you again, and I see you hopefully in the next one.